Once upon a time, in feudal Japan, there lived a samurai general who became known throughout his province not for his victories in battle, but for his extraordinary busyness. And his name was Haruto. From the first light of dawn until the last lantern burned out, Haruto moved without ever stopping. He answered every messenger the moment one arrived. He attended every council that was called. He personally handled every minor dispute among his men, resolved every small problem himself, and never set aside the scroll of duties that reached all the way to the floor. Those around him admired his dedication deeply. He was the first to wake and the last to sleep. And yet, when winter came and his lord asked him to present the fruits of a full year's effort, Haruto stood before the court in silence. The fortress walls he had planned to strengthen remained half-built. The warriors he had intended to train had grown up incomplete. The strategies he had designed to prepare remained half-formed. A man who had never rested had somehow produced nothing of consequence. This story reveals a truth of human nature that is as relevant today as it was in that ancient court. Haruto believed that busyness and progress were the same thing. He measured his worth in his movement, in the speed of his responses, in the sheer volume of things that filled his hours. He never questioned whether what he was doing mattered. He only asked whether he was doing something. And so the days consumed him, while he consumed nothing of value. He was not lazy. He was in a state far worse than laziness, endlessly, exhaustingly active, and completely lost. The world we live in today celebrates exactly this kind of busyness. We wear our packed schedules like armor. We speak of our long to-do lists with a quiet, unspoken pride. We are tossed from notification to notification, from urgent message to urgent task, believing that to stop, even for a moment, would mean falling behind. And yet, every evening we arrive at the end of another full day with a tired body and an empty heart, feeling as though we have completed nothing. This is a fatigue that sleep cannot cure, a void that productivity cannot fill. The samurai, who perhaps understood the nature of energy more deeply than any warrior tradition in all of history, had diagnosed this affliction by the name it deserved: the delusion of mistaking motion for meaning. The first principle they offer us is gaman. In the West, we are taught that willpower is the answer to all resistance. Push harder, force through, suppress the weakness. But the samurai knew that willpower burns like firewood, quickly, visibly, and without leaving any lasting ember. Gaman is not the art of forcing, it is the art of wise endurance. It is knowing when to remain still, when to absorb and digest, when to bear a discomfort without consuming yourself fighting it. The warrior who grips his sword with white knuckles in the middle of a long battle has already lost. His strength is flowing into the grip, not into the blade. Gaman teaches that true endurance is not the refusal to feel fatigue. It is not allowing fatigue to become your master. There is a profound difference between a man who pushes through exhaustion with clenched teeth and a man who moves steadily through difficulty because he has made peace with its cost. One is burning, the other is building.
The second principle is kore, and it is perhaps the most fundamental correction the samurai tradition offers the modern mind. Every morning, most of us wake up and immediately begin. We reach for the phone, we open the list, we scan what we missed while we slept, and we start reacting before we have even fully arrived in the day. The samurai practiced something different. Before the sword was lifted, before the armor was strapped on, there was a ritual directed at a single focus. Kore is the discipline of beginning with one. Before planning, before scheduling, before opening anything or answering anyone, ask yourself only this: what one thing, if I complete it today, will make this day feel whole and worth living? Not 10 things, not 5, one. The thing that if left undone would make the day feel empty. The thing that if completed would make all other chaos tolerable. When you have found that answer, you have found your sword. Everything else is noise. The samurai knew the warrior who enters battle without knowing which enemy he must kill first strikes wildly at many and wounds none. but the warrior who has fixed his eye on the one that matters most moves forward with that terrifying stillness that comes from total purpose. Consider a young student of the sword who practiced kore every morning. While his fellow students made lists of every technique they dreamed of mastering, he asked only one question: which single movement do I need to understand today? They trained for hours in scattered directions. He trained for one focused hour in a single direction. At the end of a season, his companions had touched many skills and owned none of them. He had touched one skill and owned it completely. Mastery, as the samurai understood, does not come from doing more. It comes from doing one thing so deeply that it can never be taken from you again. The third principle seals all the others. Its name is Jiko Kanri, and it may well be the most urgent discipline of our age. Jiko Kanri means self-governance, not the governance of emotions, not the governance of impulses, but the governance of time. There is a distinction that most people never learn to make, the distinction between reacting and choosing. Every notification that arrives on your device is a small demand. Every urgent email that arrives with the pressure of urgency when it could have waited. Every last-minute alert, every message, each one is an invisible hand reaching into your day and pulling you off course. A man who responds to every disturbance is not managing his time. He is being managed by it. He has surrendered his hours to the agenda of others and dressed that surrender in the costume of productivity. Jiko Kanri is the practice of reclaiming sovereignty over your own attention. It asks not only what you do with your time, but who decides what you do with your time. The samurai who allowed every passing soldier to interrupt his meditation was not a disciplined man. He was an available one. Being available and being disciplined are not the same virtue. In many ways, they are opposites. Centuries ago, the strategist Yamamoto Tsunetomo wrote in the Hagakure that the way of the samurai is found in death, meaning that the warrior who has already accepted the greatest loss has nothing left to fear from any small one. In the same spirit, the warrior who has already decided how his day will go has already died to every distraction. He has accepted from the very beginning that he will not respond to everything, and from that acceptance, a peace is born that no amount of busyness can ever manufacture. The lesson is clear. Busyness without direction is not discipline, it is dispersal. Willpower without wisdom does not build strength, it burns the reservoir dry. A morning without ritual surrenders the day's agenda to chance, and chance is a cruel master. Surrendering your focus to every incoming demand is not responsiveness. It is the slow, silent erosion of everything you set out to build. The samurai way is not to do more. It is to know which single thing must be done. It is to endure the discomfort of choosing depth over breadth. It is to protect your attention with the same ferocity that a warrior protects his lord, because your attention is your life itself, and how you spend it is who you are. As those ancient warriors understood, the man who chases two enemies meets defeat at the hands of both. The man who turns towards one with his whole spirit encounters no enemy at all. You are not failing because you are lazy. You are failing because you are scattered. Reclaim the one. Protect the one. Finish the one. This is the samurai rule.